Hi, good afternoon. My name is Olabode Ajayi, and you are welcome to my inaugural video on high school literature. Now, this video and other subsequent videos is dedicated to students who have issues in literature in school, or students who intend to write major examinations like the IBCSE, WASSE, or A-level examinations, as the case may be. And you want to write any of these examinations, you're not sure of coming out with a good grade, then this channel is the channel to hook on to. So I'd like to encourage you to sit back, to relax, and be a part of this. Okay? We'll look at so many other things. I will try to break everything down for you so that you can be able to easily identify, understand, and appropriate all that is being said here. So let's get started. What is literature? Now, I'll try to give about 2 or 3 different definitions of literature so that you can at least have a rough mental picture of what we are going to be talking about in this video and other subsequent videos, okay? Now, literature may be described as works that are considered to be of superior value or works that possess excellence. So works that are considered to be of superior value or superior in nature, and works that actually exude excellence. Now, I'll come back to this in a little while. Now, another definition of literature, this one by the Oxford Dictionary. So the Oxford Dictionary definition of literature is that literature may be described as pieces of writings valued as works of art. So pieces of writings valued as works of art. Now, I'll also come back to this definition just in a bit. The third definition, now this is my own definition of literature, is literature may be described as the ability to appropriate words and leverage on the power of imagination to produce something very artistic or aesthetic. Okay, now let's see all of these definitions together. Literature, as the case may be described as the ability to leverage on words, the ability to deploy the power of imagination, and the ability to produce something very, very beautiful. Now, what I've just said right now actually summarizes the other 2 or 3 definitions of literature that I have been able to propound to you. In other words, while a footballer is concerned with scoring goals, dribbling, leg skills, while a painter is concerned with, drawings and paintings, different kinds of styles and so on and so forth, while a musician is concerned with making melody and music, a literary artist is basically concerned with appropriating words together and then applying his power of imagination to produce or evolve something that is quite pleasurable, something that we can actually appreciate with our literary abilities. That is all that you need to know about definitions of literature. Any other thing apart from this, you may begin to run into problems. Okay, I would like to look at some of the reasons that I believe that literature can be of benefit to you as a person. Number 1, literature affords you the ability to accumulate words. So you are able to have a better command of words when you interact with books regularly, when you interact with poems, when you get to watch films and drama presentations. You are able to pick up words either deliberately or otherwise, consciously or unconsciously. These words are appropriated by you and they get to be deployed as you have conversations. Okay, so you happen on a book, you read a book, beyond the story, you find how words are subjected to beyond primary but secondary and sometimes even tertiary degrees of meanings. So literature affords you the ability and the privilege to build a repertoire of words. Number 2, literature allows for your imagination to be stretched. When you continue to study works of fiction, when you continue to give yourself over to poems and plays, short stories, and what have you, your imagination is stretched. Now, there is hardly anybody who has watched a film or read a book who has not imagined an alternative version to how the story actually should end. Every one of us at one point in time must have imagined, this person ought not to have been killed, this person ought to have been spared, this person should have died in this particular way, this thing should have happened, and so on and so forth. Now, all of these actually afford you and I the privilege of stretching our imagination. So you begin to think about so many things at the same time, and it also allows for a healthy thinking process as a student of literature. Number 3, literature also provides for universal themes. So when you pick a book and you read a book, a story, a poem, you are able to identify with these themes that you find there. So themes of love, hatred, jealousy, betrayal, war, terrorism, all of these things don't change over years, over the times, over decades, over millennia. They don't change. The theme of love in the days of Shakespeare have remained relevant even up to our times as at now, several hundreds of years later. So in literature, you have a universal theme that is being deployed irrespective of language, irrespective of race, gender, or even ethnicity. A fourth reason that I believe you should study literature is the fact that literature allows you to travel through time. Now, this is one of my favorite amongst some of the reasons to study literature. When you undertake a study of literature, you are transported back in time. You can go back, you can actually have time travels within worlds. You are in your living room, you are in your room, you are even in your bathroom. You are transported into the palace of the kings. You find yourself on the streets of London. You find yourself in the forest of France. You find yourself, just about anywhere under the sea. And you are able to see how people communicate, see how creatures communicate, see how animals communicate, and so on and so forth. So you're able to try time travel. You find yourself in the days of Shakespeare, then you come down, you find yourself in the days of Euripides and Aristophanes and Sophocles and the likes. So literature affords you this opportunity. Now, beyond also addressing human beings, literature also can, in a way, get to also look at beings that are not human. So you have spirit beings, you have trees interacting, you have animals, and so on and so forth. So it is not just concerned with human beings alone. It is also concerned with just about anything, as long as it is a product of the imagination of the literary artist. So these reasons and more are some of the reasons that I believe a student of literature would find literature worthwhile, interesting, and very, very engaging. Now, before I continue, I'd like you to just like this video, subscribe, and then hit the notification bell so that you can get to access and be notified or informed about some of my subsequent videos. Now, number 3 thing I would like to look at in this video is the genres of literature. Now we're beginning to come home. Now, literature essentially is divided into 3 genres. You have poetry, you have prose, and then you have drama. These are the 3 areas that I would like to focus on in this video and other subsequent videos. So if you have to begin to look at diaries and memoirs, and we may not be able to accommodate them as at yet, except of course I find that there's a demand for all of these things. Okay, so what is poetry? Poetry is a bit difficult to define. It's a bit difficult to define, so I'll try to describe the features of poetry. That's a safe way of avoiding being entangled in all of the different controversies about poetry that you have out there, because poetry, as we know it, has changed over the years. So what are some of the features of poetry that when you get to see them, you can boldly beat your chest and say this is a work of poetry? Number 1, poetry, most poems will come out with rhymes and rhythm. So you have the interplay of rhyme, sometimes just rhyme, sometimes rhythm, sometimes a combination of both rhyme, a medley of rhyme and rhythm together. Now, what is rhyme? When words rhyme, we simply say words sound alike. Okay, so you have a word like name, fame, game, tame, lame. That's an example of rhyme. So in poetry, a poet actually is able to show that he or she has the ability to play with words and rhyme and still make sense. The message is still being passed across while he or she is able to have a medley of all of these words. Okay, so you have rhyme, you have rhythm in poetry, you also have the fact that poems actually come to us in stanzas. So while in work of fiction or in prose, you have the prose coming to us in paragraphs. A poem will come to us in stanzas. So you have stanza 1, stanza 2, stanza 3. Okay, so these are some of the features of poetry. There are so many other features, but I don't want to bog you down with a lot of these things. You can do a bit of research and find out a few more about some of these features of poetry. So you have rhyme, you have rhythm, you have poetic devices, you have the use of stanza. You also have the ability of the poet to disregard the rules of grammar. So sometimes he might choose not to end his line with a full stop, a question mark. He could just move from there into the next line. He might begin with a lower case and end in an upper case. It's just a whole world of synthetic artful confusion, okay, that also gets to make meaning many a time. Okay, that's a world of poetry. In the world of poetry, a word can have multiple meanings. So when I say there's a rat in this room, I may not be referring to the presence of a physical rat as an animal. I may be referring to the fact that, well, somewhere in this room there's someone eavesdropping on my conversation. So in poetry, a word has more than one meaning. It could have secondary or tertiary meaning. Number 2, let's look at prose. Some prefer to call it prose, some call it fiction, some call it prose fiction, some call it narrative prose, and so on and so forth. But one thing is constant with all of these different variables of prose, and that's the fact that a work of prose is an extended piece of writing. Prose or fiction is an extended piece of writing. It also follows the rules of grammar. In a work of prose, the rules of grammar are strictly adhered to. So a sentence will begin with an uppercase and end in a full stop, a question mark. It could end in ellipses. It could end, with an exclamation mark, as the case may be. So the rules of grammar are strictly adhered to in prose. So prose is the direct opposite of poetry. So in prose, the writer says so much, he has to explain, he gives so much attention and details to describing an individual, a location, a place, an event, and so on and so forth. In poetry, 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, or even 4 words may be all that a poet needs to say everything he has to say. He can say so much with so little. In prose, is the direct opposite. He has to explain and sometimes give details. So prose is everything, poetry is not. And then last but not the least is drama. Now what is drama? Drama is neither prose, neither poetry. Drama is somewhere in between, kind of. Drama is basically a composition in verse, and sometimes also in prose. Drama is meant to be acted on stage. Yes, you can get to read the text. You can get to read the text, but the whole essence of drama is that it is meant to be acted on stage. So while poetry appeals to the ears, drama appeals to the eyes, work of fiction appeals to the heart. I will take that again. Poetry appeals to the ears because it is kind of musical in nature. You can get to sing love poems, and get to appreciate them. Works of drama are meant to be acted on stage by actors before a real live audience. And then a work of fiction is made to be read and appreciated in your heart. These are some of the distinguishing features that you find in works of poetry, prose, and drama. What I will do in subsequent videos is to devote an entire video to looking at each of these genres separately, so that whatever has not been addressed in this video will be addressed in those ones. Please, I'd like you to like and subscribe to my channel, and also hit the notification bell. If there's anything that I've said that you do not agree with, that you find that, okay, fine, this is a bit confusing, this is conflicting, this does not agree with what I've known all this while, you can please leave your comments in the section below, and I'll promise to get back to you with them. In literature, no one single person has the final answer, because literature is very, very subjective in nature, even though it tries to address universal themes. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.